A calm face during anger proves nothing, so why does everyone in the room read it as calm? The person goes quiet, their expression flattens, and everyone decides they have cooled down. But what if the storm is fully intact underneath, just hidden from view? You know the moment. Something lands wrong. The heat rises in your chest, your jaw sets, and instead of speaking you close. You go still. The words are right there and you swallow them. From the outside you look composed, maybe even mature. Inside, nothing is calm at all. Here is the plain answer to why that happens, and then the harder answer underneath it. Going quiet when you are angry is not one thing. It is at least 5 different things wearing the same face, and the silence alone does not tell you which one you are doing. That is the whole trap. People read your quiet and guess your motive, and they guess wrong, because quiet is a symptom, not a meaning. Start with the mask itself. There is a name for choosing not to show a feeling after it has already started. It is called expressive suppression. You inhibit the outward signs while the emotion keeps running. And the thing most people get wrong about it is right here. Suppression can lower what others see without lowering what you feel. You turn down the volume on the outside, the inside plays at full. So the calm you are performing is real to them and false to you at the same time. That gap is not a small thing. Emotion suppression has been linked with physiological stress responses in the body. The held-in feeling does not vanish, it goes somewhere. You are not diffusing the anger. You are carrying it, quietly, at cost. And there is a social price nobody warns you about. Suppression tends to make your emotional signals harder for other people to read. When you flatten your face, you are not just hiding the anger, you are hiding the information. The other person cannot tell if you are hurt, or done, or fine. They lose the map. In emotion research, suppression is tied to lower positive emotion and real social costs, and this is why you save the room from the outburst and you starve it of the truth. But suppression assumes you are choosing. Sometimes you are not choosing anything. Because there is a second kind of quiet, and it is not control at all. It is your body deciding for you. When a threat feels big enough, an animal does not always run or fight, it freezes. And freezing is not doing nothing, it is an active defensive state, the whole system tensed and waiting. In conflict, when some deep part of you reads the moment as danger, you can go still the same way. Not because you are calm, because you are braced. That freeze has a purpose. It is attentive immobility, the body holding position while it prepares for possible action, scanning, deciding. So when you lock up mid-argument and cannot get a single word out, that is not weakness and it is not you being difficult. That is an old survival circuit pulling the handbrake. Your mouth stops because your system decided that moving was riskier than staying still. And there is a third, quiet, close to the second, but even louder inside. In couple conflict, there is a state called emotional flooding, intense physical and emotional arousal that swamps you. When you are flooded, listening gets harder, processing gets harder, speaking clearly gets harder. The signal to your own brain is drowned out by the noise of your own body. So picture what that actually is. Your heart is going, your ears feel hot, the other person is still talking and their words are arriving as pure pressure with no meaning attached. You are not refusing to answer. You physically cannot find the sentence. The quiet is not a strategy, it is a system underwater. Which means 3 completely different things. A chosen mask, a frozen body, a flooded mind. All look identical from across the room. All of them are just a person who went silent. And here is where it gets dangerous, because the silence does not stay a private event. It reaches out and shapes the other person. There is a pattern researchers call demand-withdraw. One person pushes, presses, demands. The other pulls back, avoids, goes quiet. And it does not sit still. It feeds itself. More pursuit triggers more withdrawal. More withdrawal triggers more pursuit. You go quiet to lower the heat, and your quiet raises theirs, so they push harder, so you close further. 2 people running the exact machine that is hurting them, each convinced the other one started it. This is not a therapy metaphor. It shows up in real home conflict research as a genuine relational pattern. So if your fights feel like the same fight every time, one voice climbing, one voice disappearing, that loop is not a personality clash. It is a shape. And shapes can be interrupted once you can see them. Now the part that decides everything. Because up to here it might sound like going quiet is always innocent, just a nervous system doing its best. It is not that simple, and this is the reversal the whole thing turns on. Silence is not automatically maturity, and silence is not automatically abuse. The same behavior can be self-control, or it can be a weapon, and what separates them is not how quiet you get. It is whether the quiet has a purpose, a limit, and a way back. Look at the harm side first, because it is real. When silence becomes the silent treatment, shutting someone out, ignoring them, making them disappear from your attention, it does something specific. Being ignored can hurt, even when no insult is ever spoken. No cruel words required. The absence itself is the wound. Ostracism can threaten four deep things at once: your sense of belonging, your self-esteem, your feeling of control, and your sense of a meaningful existence. That is what the receiving end of a cold shoulder is actually paying. And there is a version built to control. Harmful quiet anger uses uncertainty as the weapon. It punishes, it withdraws, it leaves the other person guessing when or if you will ever come back. The not knowing is the point. That is different in kind from a person who is simply overwhelmed, and you are allowed to name it as different. There is a word for the wall version of this: stonewalling. It is when you block engagement completely, no signal, no opening, and it is relationally harmful precisely because it shuts the door on repair. Not because being quiet is a crime, because the door is where fixing lives, and stonewalling nails it shut. And the cost does not stay in the relationship. How people handle anger and stonewalling has been studied in relation to long-term physical health. The way you carry a feeling for years can follow you into your body. So this is not only about a bad night and a cold dinner. The habit you build now, the one where the feeling goes in and the door stays shut, is a habit you are asking your body to hold for a long time. So what makes the same silence safe instead? One thing: a return path, a communicated timeout, is fundamentally different from the silent treatment because it comes with a way back. I am too angry to talk well right now. I need 20 minutes. I am not leaving this. I will come back to it. That is quiet with a door in it. That is the whole difference, and it is small enough to hold in one hand. Healthy quiet anger has three parts. You state that you need space, you put a boundary on the time, and you name a plan to come back. Harmful quiet anger removes all three and hands the other person nothing but silence and the guessing. Same closed mouth, opposite act. And notice this frees you, because it means you do not have to force yourself to keep talking while you are flooded. Suppression can genuinely protect a conversation in the short term when it stops you from saying the aggressive thing. The freeze can buy you a minute. That is allowed. The quiet only turns costly when it blocks the emotional information, the accountability, or the repair from ever reaching the relationship. Stepping back is fine. Vanishing is not. Now go deeper, because there is a quieter reason under all of this. A reason that has nothing to do with anger at all. For some people, the silence is not a wall and not a freeze. It is a translation problem. There is a condition called alexithymia, difficulty identifying or describing your own feelings, and some quiet anger is exactly this: a body that is clearly aroused, clearly stirred up, with no words arriving to say what the arousal even is. The feeling is there, the label is missing, you are not withholding the sentence. You genuinely do not have it yet. Sit with how lonely that is. Something real is happening in your chest, and the part of you that names things has gone dark. Of course you go quiet. You are waiting for language that is not coming. And this reframes the whole silence, not as a choice to hide, but as a search that has not finished. And sometimes the word is missing because the anger is not really anger. Anger is loud and simple, so it often sits on top of something quieter and harder to say. Under it can be hurt, or fear, or shame, or grief, or plain disappointment. Not always, but often enough to check. That is why the silence can feel so total. Naming it would mean naming the softer thing underneath, and the softer thing is the one you were trying not to feel. The quiet is not guarding the anger. It is guarding whatever the anger is standing in front of. Then there is fear. Fear of negative evaluation, the dread of being judged, can make speaking during anger feel genuinely risky. If some part of you learned that saying the true thing gets you punished, mocked, or escalated against, then silence stops being avoidance and becomes protection. In social anxiety, there are things called safety behaviors, actions you use to prevent the outcome you are afraid of. And silence can be exactly that, a safety behavior, used to stop the embarrassment, the attack, the escalation before it can start. So the quiet person is often not stonewalling you. They are protecting you or protecting themselves from a version of the fight they are sure will end badly. That does not make it healthy, but it makes it human, and it changes what you do about it. You cannot punish a wall into opening, but you can make a room safe enough that the wall stops being necessary. Here is what all of this leaves you with. Your silence, the one you have been quietly judging yourself for, could be self-control. It could be your body freezing. It could be flooding pulling you under. It could be fear, or shutdown, or a missing word, or, yes, avoidance. The behavior is the same. The meaning is not, and you do not get to know the meaning from the silence alone. Neither does anyone watching you. Which is why the honest answer to, what does it mean when you go quiet, is not a diagnosis. It is a question you turn on the quiet itself. Not, am I a calm person or a cold one? Ask what the silence is doing. Does it have a purpose? Does it have a limit? Does it come back? A quiet with a door in it is a pause. A quiet with no way back is a punishment. The face looks the same either way, but you are the only one who knows which one you built, and you are the only one who can put the door back in. So the next time you feel yourself go still while the heat rises, Do not ask whether staying quiet makes you good or bad. Ask whether you left a way back in. That is the whole thing. That is what your silence actually means. Not what it hides, but whether it ever intends to return.